Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Agent Advantage. Today we are joined by Mr. Ricky Carruth. Ricky, what's going on, man?
Oh man, just another day in paradise, bro. How about you?
Oh, pretty much the same up here in Canada, but we're not quite out of our lockdown yet. Slowly, one step at a time, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in the rear view, very soon, man. We're moving into the stages of it being over and getting closer and closer back to a normal normal situation. So it's coming, man. We're doing live events again down here. I'm doing Miami, Charlotte, Charleston, Nashville, Salt Lake, Dallas, Orlando. We're doing the conference for the company, in November in person and stuff in Vegas. So we're getting back to normal.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to being there for sure. That's the plan anyway. So we'll see, one step at a time, right? All right. So Ricky, please introduce yourself to everybody here that isn't familiar with you. And maybe before we do, just give a quick shout out to my buddy Vadim, who's in the business, who loves your content on YouTube. So Vadim, what's up, man? Ricky saying hi.
What's up, bud? So yeah, no,
Go
I've
ahead.
been selling for 20 years, and I went through a lot. So everybody can find my story somewhere online. Whereas I lost everything my mid 20s and had to kind of restart. So I roofed houses as a kid and did a lot of other different jobs. And I read 100 books after I lost everything, came back and fought my way back to becoming the top Remax agent in Alabama by 2014. So I've closed 100 deals a year since 2014. This will be year number 8. And in 2017, I wrote 2 books just to share my story with the world, to try to help more agents. Through that, I became the world's first completely free real estate coach. And it's just kind of been a wild ride ever since. So now I'm into, still have my real estate business going. I'm building other businesses. I'm kind of enjoying this position of having a really nice, well-respected personal brand that I can utilize to help more people. So I'm just in a really good spot. I knock off every day at 5, spend with the family. I'm off just about every weekend while I'm building this empire, if you will. So it's fun.
Yeah, man, that's excellent. Let's get into all of that. So, you mentioned you went through a tough time in your life, and I find that most successful people, they have some sort of controversy, they have something they need to overcome. It either develops a chip on their shoulder or they feel like I'm never going through that again, and that's what drives them to that next level. Do you think that was really instrumental in getting you to the success that you have today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Listen, when somebody, all the most successful people went through a bankruptcy or some kind of real huge, loss in their life, every single one of them. So, it's no different. You have to go through the losses to figure out what not to do. Otherwise, some of these, people are out there, advising others on, what to do, and they've never lost anything. And so for me, it's hard to take advice from someone like that because you don't know what not to do. Like I hear people advising people how to invest in real estate and, how to succeed as a real estate agent and stuff like that. And they've never been through anything to really give advice. I mean, it's like you're telling someone something, but you don't really know if you should or shouldn't be doing that because you've never been in the position where you've lost. So I don't know. I mean, there's the whole guru thing out there where people haven't really seen that much success that are out there selling courses for $500 and stuff like that. I come in here, I focus purely on real estate for 15 years. I'll make a million by 23, lose it all, come back, between 2008 and 2014, really grind it out to get to 100 deals. So I make it back. So I make it to the top, lose it all, get back to the top, then sell 100 properties a year for 3 years in a row before I even think about writing a book or trying to help somebody or I was like, I lost it, I made it, lost it, came back, and then made sure it was real before I started trying to help other people or advise them. I didn't feel comfortable trying to advise someone on, how to build their business or what to do, until I really felt like I had it down myself.
Right.
That's why I find it really wild that there's a lot of people who are out there, just throwing stuff around, throwing ideas around, really regurgitated from other people who actually probably know what they're talking about. So no, man, very instrumental, because there were guys that were 40, 50, 60 years old that were going through the same exact thing that I was going through. Like, they were flipping properties and selling real estate right next to me. They lose everything just like I did and had to start over in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And here I was in my mid 20s going through what they were going through in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I knew that that was going to be a very monumental, like major, blessing, if you will. So I was happy during that time because I knew that that was going to be kind of the transition, if you will, from, really, just like getting like the taste of business, between like just skimming the top and kind of just getting a taste of it, between that and actually knowing how to actually build a business, right? And how to build the foundation in a way that um, really can't be knocked.
Yeah, that's
That's the
important
thing.
for sure. Absolutely. Let's dig into that a little bit. So let's talk about specifically your journey to building up to that place. So after you've kind of went through your crisis and you're building back up, and you, like you said, you built your business up to 100 deals. How did you get from nothing, starting over again, up to 100 deals? What
It's
did that
called
look like?
like, no, well, number one, people say, oh, 100 deals. Okay. And they're like, oh, I want to sell 100 properties and stuff. But they don't want to even talk about, making 100,000 calls, making it all, losing it all. They don't want to talk about the 6 years between 2008 and 2014. Like, I came back in the business, and after I learned all those lessons, it still took me 6 years of grinding to get to the 100 deals. Nobody really wants to think about that. They're just upset that they don't sell 100 deals in their second year as a brand new agent. Here I
That's right.
was, not a brand new agent, learned a lot of lessons, came back and started over. Still took me 6 years. There's just so much misconception on, the expectations of success in real estate. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of failure in the industry is people come in with the wrong expectations and nobody really sets them up for the reality of the business, which could actually help them through their first couple of years in the business. I tell everybody like it is. When you come in, you're going to be on this emotional high where you're real excited about sky's the limit, and you come in and you're just happy, excited, motivated, fired up, and probably more than you've ever been. And you go through this phase, and then you start to become a little frustrated because you realize there's a lot to learn in this business that you can't learn in one day. And there's this mountain of knowledge you're just not going to learn immediately. It's going to take time to learn it little by little, and a lot of it's learned through experience, which takes years. So you're really excited, then you become a little frustrated with the learning curve, right? And then comes the huge disappointment when you don't sell a property in the first 3 months, 4 months, something like that. You become very disappointed. You feel like, I put in all this work, but I haven't even sold a single property. I should have sold a property by now. Well, who's to say that the effort that you put in equals a property sold? Why do you assume that that amount of effort equals a deal? Right? Obviously it doesn't, because it didn't happen. So
Well,
the
it's
universe actually
also
dictates.
it's also the gestation period. When you're not aware of what's going on, you're new in the business, you don't understand that the work you're doing today is really going to come to fruition, down the road. You're laying that foundation for
That's another
that.
thing that I try to set the expectations for, that all these seeds you're planting is going to happen. Well, as a new agent, okay, as a new agent, it's like once you get to that disappointment stage, some people quit right there. But the winners look around and say, okay, this is not as easy as I thought, but I can do this. So they become excited again. They go through the whole thing, disappointed, frustrated, excited. That's how your first year goes, right? A lot of emotional ups and downs. But what people really don't think about is the bigger picture of the fact that you're really working for 2, 3 years out. That first year, okay, you actually make millions of dollars. You learn how to write a contract. That's worth $1 million right there to you over the life of your career. You learn how to work MLS. There's another million, right? You learn how to, look up property owners and call people, right? Another million. You learn how to, maybe you did 3 deals. Okay. So you learn the process of of a transaction. That's worth $1 million. Gotta be. Right. So we're talking about 4, 5, 6 million dollars that you really made that year. It's just not on your tax returns. People are only looking at tax returns. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's like not even, that's so far away from, what you actually accomplished. It's just not even funny, but that's the only thing they look at. And I'm like, well, in 2024, you're not going to care what you made in 2021. All right. You're only going to care what you make in 2024, but the amount of money you make in 2024 is going to be predicated on what you do this year to build your business in terms of how many people you talk to, right? To create friends in the market, right? And then build your brand on the back of the data you collect from those people. It's really the bottom line. Like, we should be data collectors first, right? Data collectors and friendship creators first. That should be our main goal every day. And then real estate agents second. Our goal when we call and talk to people should just be to make friends and see if there's something we can do to help. If they need to do something today, great, let's do a deal. If we're talking to enough people, we're going to find deals, but more so, we're really building this base and accumulating, the people that we need, the future customers that we need to really have a really large business and something that's going to withstand, market cycles and market swings, because a
It's
couple
spending the
things I
time.
learned.
Yeah, it's spending the time to create that database that you're talking about. And that's, a rather unique approach when most people are coming at it from, and not to knock it because, hey, it's worked for decades. But, the Mike Ferry approach of calling, hey, are you ready to sell? Hey, are you ready to sell? Like that kind of thing where you're knocking out the dials or the door knocks. You've come from an
I don't know
approach.
how well it's worked though, right? So
Well,
listen,
I hear you.
here's
There
the
are people
thing.
that have had success with it. I
No,
have
no, no,
never taken
I
that
understand.
approach.
I understand, but think about the success they could have had, right?
Yes.
If they can succeed on that model, think of the success they could have had if they were with the number one reason why someone picks a real estate agent in today's market is because they had a friend in the business, right? They're going, like, we went through a cycle of digital where people chose their agent online, right? We went through several cycles where people are like, well, I'm not going to just pick a random agent online anymore. I had a bad experience, right? I picked a bozo, right? So now they're like, I'm going to find my properties online, but I'm going to call the agent that I'm friends with, that, I have a relationship with. That's where it's at. And so just think about, instead of, like, you're calling these people anyway. So if you call them and just say, hey, Mr. Seller, okay, you don't know me and I don't know you, but will you sell your house so I can make some money? That's what those scripts are saying. It's saying, hey, not too concerned about you, really. Don't really want to be your friends. I just want to see if you want to sell your house so I can make a commission, right?
Other knocks on the belt.
I just want to see what you, Mr. Seller, can do for me, the agent. And what I'm saying is, let's 180 that. If those agents that were successful at that, if they would have instead 180 that to see what the agent can do to help the client, as in, hey, Mr. Seller, you don't know me, I don't know you, but look, let me bring you some value. As in, hey, did you know a house right down the road from you just sold? No? Well, listen, it did. And is there anything I can do to help you? Are you thinking of doing anything? Is there anything I can do to help? If not, is there an agent you would work with? Right? If not, then cool. I'm sure you'll do something at some point. I'd love to stay in touch with you. Right? What's your data? So if the people that were making those calls would have been more concerned with creating friends and collecting data, okay, because they're making the calls anyway.
Right.
And you're talking to that person anyway, why just say something that's going to turn them off? Because they're going to buy or sell later. They're going to buy or sell later. So why are they throwing away those scripts? Literally throw away 10 to 20 deals per person. Because when you create a relationship with that person, that's worth 10 to 20 deals to you over the life of your career. I'm over here stacking up 10 to 20 deals every relationship I create by not caring if they want to buy or sell today or not, closing the ones that do and nurturing the ones that don't. That system you're talking about throws everyone away unless they're ready to buy or sell something now, which is fine. But I
Right.
call that a salesperson. Whereas you're only good as your last sale. You're going to have to sell till the day you die, right? I am a personal branding agent. Whereas I'm going to build a brand. I'm going to accumulate as many people in my market who know who I am and that I'm here to help. And that way I can do what I've been doing since 2017. I haven't made a single call since 2017. All I've done is my weekly email that I've been doing since 2007 every Wednesday that I use to build my brand, 90% organic reach. I continue to do that weekly email. It's the only thing I do. And I still continue to knock down 100 deals every year. Why? Because I accumulated people, even if they didn't want to buy or sell. Now I can afford selling 100 properties a year, working 5 hours a week on that business while I build other businesses. Whereas the guys you're talking about that are so successful, they're still having to make calls every day till the day they die because they're not accumulating friendships. They're just looking for transactions.
Right. And that's the thing that really rubbed me and got me thinking when I first got in the business, because it seemed like everybody was on that hamster wheel of that mentality, because you have to keep going after it because you're not creating those relationships. You're just looking for the other notch on the belt, or the quickest notch on the belt that you can get, knock it out of the park and keep going for the next one. So let's dig into that, and let's show people, what it really takes to build up a business like that. Over time, you have to have that long-term mentality, like you mentioned, right? You're in there to create relationships. So would you suggest then, if, Jim Smith or Katie is sitting somewhere in North America in their town, they're just getting in the business, they want to take it seriously, they know it's going to be a long-term investment, what should they do? Should they pick a geographic farm and start calling those people to create those relationships? What are your suggestions there?
Listen, at the end of the day, I don't really care where you get your leads from. Okay. The name of the game is this: common denominator. Common denominator of all closings. What would you say it is?
What do you mean by all closings?
Like every closing has to have what?
A buyer and a seller.
Okay. Okay. But for an agent to represent someone, what has to happen?
You have to have a relationship with that person.
Right.
There has to be
Which is
trust. There has to be,
right.
that has to be built and maintained. And then
Mm-hmm.
value has to be, received and given from both sides. And then they get
Right.
to, so that's.
And the only way to do any of that, right? The only way to do any of what you just said is through one thing: real conversation. Hearing your voice, hearing how you breathe, body language, speed of voice, tone of voice, right? That's the only way you're going to get to the point where they actually trust you. You can do social media and message people and do videos and all you want to, but until you actually talk to them, they're not completely sold, right? You can warm them up with all that stuff, but then if they talk to you and they don't get a good feeling, they're not gonna move forward. Your number one job is to be a data collector, friendship creator. Your number one skill is to make people feel comfortable with you.
So just define that for people that don't quite understand what you mean by data collector.
Create it like emails, phone numbers, names, right?
Contact information.
Yes,
Yeah.
talking to people, right? Making them feel comfortable with you, right? Enough to stay in touch and giving you their email, giving you their phone number, giving you all their data so that you can input in your database to then build personal brand around that, right? So, the number one common denominator of all closings, it doesn't matter if like social media is not the common denominator, because you can build your business without social media. Cold calls is not the common denominator. You can build your business without cold calls, right? Door knocking, open house, sphere of influence, none of those are the common denominators. Okay. Because you can build your business you can have closings without any of those one things, but you cannot build your business or have closings without real conversation. Okay. So with that, you have to understand the philosophy here behind, you got to understand the foundation of the perception here, right? So then you can start to break down, how to reverse engineer ourselves into as many closings as we want to have. Okay. If you understand that, well, number one, closings happen every day and will happen every day for the rest of your life, no matter what the market does. You have job security forever.
Mm-hmm.
Competition, because of that, doesn't exist, and business is unlimited forever. Okay. So forget about all that. That should knock out a lot of the garbage in your mind. So when you think about the one thing that has to happen for every closing is a real live conversation. Okay. Now we understand that, okay, look, it doesn't matter if we're using social media or if we're doing cold calls or if we're doing open houses or direct mail or sphere of influence or networking or whatever we're doing. I don't really care what avenue you go through with the lead generation part of this, as long as it's producing enough people and leads for you to stay on the phone for 2 to 3 hours a day, having real live conversations with those people. If you're getting online leads, give me enough on a daily basis that I can have enough conversations, to create some real friendships and relationships. If I'm doing open houses, let's have enough people coming through, putting their name on the list that I've got enough people I can call, for hours on end the next day. So whatever your lead generation source is, it just needs to supply you with enough phone numbers to talk to, lots and lots of people, right? Every single day. So the lead generation source, I'm not like, because so many people succeed so many different ways. And I don't knock
Absolutely.
any of them. It's like whatever works for you kind of thing. But it's all going to come back to the same activity of talking to people. When you get a Zillow lead, the first thing you have to do is call them. So a lot of people are like, I don't want to cold call. I'll just buy Zillow leads. You buy a Zillow lead for $100 and then what? You call them. So now you're right back to calling. So I hate to break it to you, but you're still cold calling. Because when you call the Zillow lead, they don't know who you are. They don't know really why you're calling. They went on Zillow a day ago. They were just looking around. They forgot they even went on Zillow. Now here you are calling them. It's the same thing. So for me, the most efficient thing, if it all comes back to conversation anyway, and these people, it's all cold calls anyway, why not pick out the exact property owners that you want to do business with, that own the exact property you want to sell, and get their information for 2 cents by the truckloads, and just sit in a dark room and call them all day just to make friends, not to try to high pressure them into anything, just to let them know who you are, what you do, and you're here to help. Followed by a weekly email every single week on the same day of the week forever. All those that I just mentioned are very cost efficient, very effective, most productive, right? This is for people who really want to ramp things up. Like you got the people who are like, I'm not going to cold call. I'm just going to do open houses. I know that cold calling could really ramp my business up, but I would just rather go at a really slow pace. I'm okay with the slow pace. Like people are like, there's a lot of people like that. I would
Yeah.
rather do social media and not ramp my business up, knowing that I could, but I'm okay. I'm comfortable with a lot of people, not a lot of people. There's people, there's agents who aren't really that ambitious, let's just say. And I find it unfortunate because this is a do or die business. So many people fail, and you have to go so hard in the paint just to survive. I mean, you got
Oh
to be in
yeah.
the top 10% just to squeeze by, so I don't know, man.
I think that comes from the mentality of, being transactional versus relational. And people are afraid that they'll be perceived as transactional when they're calling people that don't know them. I think that's the fear that drives that, where they say, I'd rather, do it by Twitter or by Instagram or whatever than actually approaching people.
Oh
That's
yeah,
where I
no,
think where the fear comes
I would rather be transactional on Twitter. I would
Right?
rather be transactional on Twitter and then somehow get their phone number and call them and then be transactional. I mean, you're just delaying. See, that's all this is, man. It's just a delay.
Right.
You're just delaying the inevitable. You're going to have to talk to them.
Yeah. No, exactly. And if you come at it from, I think it's just, like I said, it's perception in your mind. If you're coming at people, I don't care, like you said, how you do it. If it's open houses, if it's online leads, if it's just calling people, if it's knocking on doors, if you're coming at it from a place of relationship, creating relationship and giving value and not looking just to put another notch on your belt, then I think that's a better place to be. And you'll see that it's not as hard to do it because you're coming from an authentic place. Do you
Mm.
agree?
Listen, most people, like when they say I'm scared to make calls,
Yeah.
my first question is why? What are you scared of? You know what the most frequent answer is?
What's that?
I don't know.
I hear,
So
I don't want to annoy people. That's what I hear.
no, no, no. The most frequent answer is I don't know. I say, what are you so scared of? And they say, I don't know. I don't know why I'm so scared. It's literally the most frequent answer. There's literally something that they know will blow their business up if they do it. And they won't do it because they're scared of a reason that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The second most frequent answer is rejection. Number one, what's so bad about rejection? Who cares what people think? And rejection's not rejection. Rejection is them telling you what they want to do. Okay. If they cuss you out, all right, if they cuss you out and hang up on you, okay. Let me translate that for you. Basically, they're like, man, I can't believe you're calling me. Oh my gosh. Boom, they hang up on you, right? Let me translate that. What they're saying is Ricky, listen, I understand what you're doing and I really appreciate it. Okay. I don't really want to buy or sell anything right now, and I don't really have time to talk to you, but I do really appreciate your call. And maybe we can do something later. All right. But I got to go. So I'll see you later. Click. That's what they're really saying. They're not, let's just call it adult enough to articulate their feelings the way
Right.
that they should, right? They're lashing out, right? As an
Right.
adolescent. Okay. So you gotta understand that, when a seller, interviews 3 agents and doesn't pick you, that's not rejection. That's just them deciding what was best for them, and you should congratulate them. It shouldn't be a weird thing. It shouldn't be like strange. You should be like, congratulations, good luck with it. I'll see if I can sell it on my end and represent the buyer. I'm going to go get 5 more listings.
Right. Well, that comes down to maturity and mindset as well, that you have to have within yourself to be able to learn and move on and really take action. Right.
Well, I mean, that goes a step further, I guess. I mean, as a real estate agent, we are business owners. So if you're going to own your own business, there's got to be a level of maturity to you. You've got to have a level of maturity here if you want to run your own business and, make your own rules and call your own hours.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly. You had mentioned a couple times that you're sending a weekly email. Can you give us an idea of kind of what's that email all about? What is the content that you're putting in there that's engaging with people?
Basically, like, number one, shut down all the automatic emails. Okay. Okay. The robots that are sending emails out for you, because a lot of those services are being used by several other agents in your market. I think it's so funny when I get an email, right? And then I get the same email from 4 agents at the exact same time with the exact same subject. I open it, it's the exact same email talking about exactly nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, bro, if I want to know how to cook shrimp etouffee, I'm going to go straight to Google. I'm going to go straight to Google and I'm going to Google it, bro. I don't need, my real estate agent should be giving me real estate stats of my local market. They should be telling me, like, developments coming up. They should be showing me featured like listings and new listings and closings. They should be telling me new restaurants coming into the area and how great they are and offering me free gift cards to those restaurants. They should be telling me about events coming up locally, and giving their 2 cents, their opinions on stuff. Here's the market. Here's the price per square foot. Here's what I think about the market. Here's what buyers are telling me. Then they feel like they're getting inside information from a local market expert, right? And they're hearing your opinions on different things. And then they really start tuning in to you. And so it comes back to sweat equity.
Right.
Like, you've got to put some work into this. Everybody wants to automate everything. They want to automate everything. And really, at the end of the day, some things can be automated and some things can. I think when it comes to, communicating with your clients and stuff, I don't think that should be automated. I don't have anything that's automated when it comes to reaching out to clients, but
That's a
hey,
matter of
listen.
that when you're creating relationships, it has to be authentic and people can read through that, formatted, pre-bought sort of thing that's regurgitated. And when you're
Generic.
communicating,
They
yeah,
they see the generic information. They see the generic information. It brings no value to them, right? They want to hear breaking news about their market, not national real estate stats or what the interest rate. Listen, let your lender worry about what the interest rate is. Okay. You're a real estate agent. Now we're trying to give them like interest rate news, and we're trying to tell them how to cook shrimp etouffee and what color to paint your walls in the fall and 10 buyer tips to win multiple offers and all this BS, when really they just want to know what the new listings are today. And they want to know what we think about the market. And they want to know how much prices have went up in their market since last year, not nationally, but their market. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's something that I sit down every 30 minutes and I really put a lot of thought into, and I really work hard to make it as good as it can be. And I make it real short, sweet, and to the point, right? And it's I have a 25% open rate, which really means nothing. Okay. Because what's more interesting is the 25% who aren't opening it because they're not ready to do anything, who will open it because they see it in their inbox every Wednesday and they appreciate the fact that it's consistent, right? This email does all the heavy lifting for you to deepen the relationship in a very scalable way, because now they see it every Wednesday in their inbox, whether they open it or not. They know that I'm dependable. They know I'm consistent. They know I'm working hard. They know I'm professional. They know I'm knowledgeable. They open it up every 6 months to see what I'm up to. They see I'm selling a bunch of properties and still doing well. And they think, this is the kind of agent I want, a dependable, consistent, hardworking, professional, knowledgeable agent. And so it literally proves to them over time, between the time that you meet them and give them that great first impression and create the friendship, and the time that they decide they want to buy or sell a property, it does all the heavy lifting for you, right? To really develop that relationship to the point that they want to buy something, you have a good chance of being their agent, right? And that's why it's worked so well for me. It's a 90% organic reach platform. 90% of the people in your database will see it in their inbox versus 2, 3, 4, 5% organic reach on social. So what do I want to build what foundation do I want to build my personal brand on? 5% organic reach or 90% organic reach? Obviously. So I'm going
Yeah.
to build my foundation on 90% organic reach and then sprinkle social media on top if you want to.
Now, how often are you following up, or are you following up at all past that first phone call when you put them
Every
get their
week,
data?
every Wednesday in their inbox.
Okay, so I mean on the phone. Are you
Every
calling them?
Wednesday in their inbox.
Okay, so after the
You
first
want to
call,
create listen, man. You want to create a business, all right, where people call you.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. So that's the business we're going to create, right? We're not going to chase. We're going to get
Gotcha.
chased. So here's the punchline. When you're early in your career and you have 75 people in your database, yes, let's call them every 6 months. We have time.
Right,
When you get to 300, you can only call them, once a year now, right? When
right.
you get to 1200, you try to call that next year. You try to call them that once a year, but you only get through like 70, because when you call past clients and referrals, what happens is they want to talk for 45 minutes to catch up. It's not like a cold call where the average call time is like 2.5 minutes. Past clients and referrals, these are your people. They're catching up with you and they're talking about kids and college and where they're doing and what their plans are. This could take 30 minutes. So yes, and early in your career, call out once every 6 months. As you grow your database bigger, get it to once a year. You'll get to a point where you're closing so many deals and your database is so big, you can't call them at all.
Right.
And now we're just in a position where we're just basically taking orders from our past clients and referrals to close as many deals as we could possibly process.
So, what do the numbers look like for somebody that's just getting started and they've got a few, just to sort of future pace? What should they be aiming for in terms of numbers in the database, and what does that translate to in terms of
I
contacts or
think if you do it, I
transactions?
think if you do it right, and you do the email right, you spend time on it, and it's, I mean, you anybody can copy my exact formula for the email, the exact template, the exact everything, right? Go to zerotodiamond.com, free course lesson called Ricky's Weekly Email. There's a tutorial. I screen share my computer. There's weekly email ideas, and there's a link that goes back to every email I've sent for the last 3 years, the exact email. Copy it verbatim, the exact template, put your stuff in there, right?
Mhm.
Don't change it at all, and send it out every single Wednesday. But the numbers look like this for me. I've closed, 1 to 2% a year. So if I have 5,000, I'm closing 50 to 100 deals a year. 10,000. I've closed 100 deals a year. My database is like 15,000 right now. But again, I'm very passive. I don't call and follow up and check on people. I'm very passive with it because, hey, I'm doing 100 deals a year. It's hard to keep up with 2 deals a week and run these other businesses. And the weekly email produces those 2 deals a week. And that's all really I want out of that business.
Right.
So I'm happy with that. If I wanted to ramp it up, sure, I could go through my database and call and check on people and try to ramp things up. But, I'm at a different place right now.
Now, you've always been like a solo agent, correct?
Yeah, I'm just a single agent with one assistant.
Okay, and so let's talk about logistics. What does it look like? Are you breaking down on mostly listings or even 50-50 listings
It,
buyers? How does
it
that
it
work?
just depends on the market, right? So in 2017, that was a year. I've always traditionally been about 80-20. with listings. And but 2017 was about 50-50 because that's the way the market went,
Right.
you know. And then since then, I've kind of stood at about a 70-30, you know, since then. And I think I'm more of like a 80-20 maybe this year, you know, but you know, back in 2017 it was a 50-50. It was right down the middle. And you know, this market is, you know, a seller's market. Everyone knows that. So you know, it will end and things will flop the other way at some point. And maybe at that point I'll be more, you know, 50-50 or even 60-40 or 70-30 on the buy. I would have more buyers, you know, during that market. So I don't classify myself or try to label myself as a listing agent or buyer's agent. I don't try to go after more listings or more buyers.
Right.
I just help anyone that comes to me buy or sell, you know, and then whatever happens, happens. I don't really try to just do this or just do that. You know, I just want to help anyone who's looking to buy or sell.
Yeah, absolutely. The challenge comes in though, if you're doing 100 deals a year, like 2 deals a week, and it's just you, and you're doing all buyers or predominantly buyers, that's a lot of running around.
It just depends, man, because you know the buyers that I get from past clients and referrals, you know, are very, they know what they want. They've already done their research. There's not really much online to run around and look at. You know, we're really looking at like one or two houses and they're making an offer and doing a deal. So, you know, it's not really, even if it was all buyers, it really wouldn't be that. It would be more, I agree, but not as crazy. Now here's the difference. And that's why I brought this up. Like if it's past clients and referrals, a lot easier situation. People that have done business with you, they know the game, they know how you operate. You guys have a system down working together. When you're doing random buyer leads and people you've never met before, you know, and you don't really know really their situation, they're telling you something, but you don't really know. And now we're getting pre-qualified and we're doing all this and that. And we're running all over. And, you know, this is a first time home buyer and stuff like that. Then, yeah, you know, that's a different type of buyer. That's what new agents need to realize is that in the beginning, you're going to have these buyers that do run you around. But as your career progresses and you get to the point where you start seeing some residuals on repeats and referrals, you know, it gets a lot easier as time goes on. It's the same thing with cold calling. Like I'm not saying cold call forever. If you build your business right and build a brand, I quit cold calling 5 years ago,
Hmm.
you know, and I made 100,000 calls without a dialer, all by hand in the 15-year period. So if you take today's scenario where you have automatic dialers and you can get as much data as you want with the click of a mouse, you could literally make those 100,000 calls in 2 to 4 years, right? And do the same damage that it took me 15 years to do in 2 to 4 years. And you could be done. You could be done if you really hit it hard, but very few people are really, they're not visualizing this and they're not hitting it hard. And they're not trying to build that, you know, that name up to that point, you know, because you know, they'll do it for a month and say, oh, it's not working. Or they think that this thing over here is going to make it happen quicker, you know, when really that thing is just getting you right back to the phone and you're just really delaying it once again.
Hmm. Now, a lot of people in your position, that get to that kind of production bring on traditional team members.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about taking your business in that direction, or what's kept you from doing that?
Well, I tried it one time and went through about 12 agents in a year and a half. And what I realized is that traditional team model is really broken, I guess. Number one, the worst part about it is the really good agents come in, learn everything they can and leave, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to give somebody part of their commission if they don't have to? Unless you're an average producer. So what you end up having in those traditional teams are just average agents on the team until they decide that they don't want to give up any of their commission anymore and they're ready to go out on their own, right? And so there's a lot of things wrong with it because some of them won't allow the team leaders to list property. They're just a buyer's agent. Well, think about how tough that is right now. They're basically cutting off the easiest part of the market, which is listings. They sell in an hour. You're like, okay, you can only work the hardest leads where you're going to make 20 offers and lose out on 15 deals. Go for it. You know, and if you do happen to close something, give me half the money. And if you leave the team, I'm going to keep all the clients.
Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't work. It just doesn't retain the top producers, you know? So when I realized that, when my top producers came and they learned everything they could from me and left, I mean, I was fine with that. But at the same time, that wasn't why I was trying to build a team. I was trying to build a team, not to train people, which is what it ended up being. I was training people who went out to be great agents. And then I just had the average agents to low producers who stayed. It's like, now I just have a team full of low producers.
Right.
That's a traditional team model, right? That's the traditional team model. And that's what I would, veer away from, if I were a team leader and wanted to build a team, or if I was thinking about being on a team, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I think, well, from being on a team, when you're first getting into business, I think there's a lot of value to that. If you've got the right situation, you could learn a lot from somebody in
The
that
right, you,
mentorship
you
kind of
hit it,
role.
you hit it on the head. The right
Yes,
situation.
absolutely.
Now, how rare is the right situation?
Well, you definitely have to look for it.
It's very rare that it's actually the right situation. And a new agent doesn't know what they don't know. So
Correct.
they're not thinking about, is he going to give me the database of my clients when I leave? They're not thinking about, a lot of different things. They're just thinking about what this person's telling me, which sounds amazing, right? But you don't realize they're really putting you in a position where now you're building their business. Everything goes into their name. They're going to give you the worst leads in the market, make you work your ass off. And if you happen to close something, give them half the money. No, no, no. There's definitely the right situations where people will give you the clients and they are fair with the stuff. I've seen that
And
too.
teaching you how to do things properly,
Yes, yes.
pulling
They,
the
they,
curtains. Yeah.
and here, like for me, like, but I'm different, but I wanted to learn the process. Some of these teams they handle the transaction coordination and for you and all this stuff, but as the new agent, you're not really learning that part of the process, which you probably need to learn. Now there's an argument there because I know an agent that started their own brokerage and their part of their deal is, and I said, well, they're not learning. They're like, well, they don't need to learn. Just let me handle it. I'm thinking, well, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, I can see your point there. But at the same time, I thought about it ever since I talked to that broker. And I think, no, I still would want to know how that process works so that if something happens, I know that I understand at least that process.
Right.
So everybody's different, man. That's why these teams exist. And that's why there's team members on these teams that stay there
Hmm.
because everybody's different and everybody has different, you know, um, you know, uh, perception of, what they want and how to get it and, the value that they're getting provided. So,
Yeah. Well, it's also
these are
goals.
just my opinions. And let me go on record and say mean nothing. Okay.
Disclaimer.
My opinions mean absolutely zero. I just say what I think and people can take it how they want.
There you go. Let's get to the idea. Like, when did you start throwing out all this coaching and information, and for free? I mean, what was the motivation behind that? How did that all come about?
Supply and demand, when I wrote the 2 books and I went and spoke at a couple of events, I realized how big of a demand there really was for the kind of rhetoric I was putting out there. And so, I just had so many people there in the very beginning when I did a few speeches and wrote those books reach out and just tell me how, how, I don't know what the word for it is here. It just really changed their entire perception and perspective on their career, on their life, and the industry as a whole. And I thought, I do have something different,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna run with this, So, just every day I just chipped away at it little by little, and I would just think of different ideas, and eventually thought, why don't I just do all this for free and build a great brand? And
Well,
it's
that
been
takes
a
a lot of effort, right? I mean, just putting the time in to create the videos or the content or all of that, it takes a lot of time and effort. So I'm wondering, what was that motivation to take away from your business and give to the real estate community?
the mission is to reduce the failure rate at the end of the day, but it was challenging for the first, I would say, year and a half. It was very challenging because here I was spending basically 80% of my time on a business that I was losing money, taken away from a business that's making $1 million a year. And so I had a serious complex about it. Is this what I should be doing? And I had a lot of frustration points and self doubts, about it, but the agents reaching out to me and telling me how much it was helping them, I just couldn't help but to believe that, that it was something that, that would, I don't know, change the industry, or, end up being something really big. So, and it's got to the point where, it's that business is by leaps and bounds more successful than my real estate business. And like, I'm going to Miami, in 2 weeks. I'm kicking off my own tours. There's I don't want to say the number, but there's over 1,000 agents registered for this thing. And, that's humbling to know that more than 1,000 agents, want to come to and be in the same room with me, and let me spit, what I'm going to spit at them. So it's got to the point where now I'm doing my own tours with 1,000 agents showing up. And so is it as big as I think it can be? No. Is it really massive to the point where some really incredible things are happening? Absolutely. So I'm just one of these guys. I just don't give up. I just kind of keep going. It's kind of slow and steady wins the race. And it's been tough. It definitely had some challenges, mental challenges.
I'm sure. I would assume.
Here's another thing before you get into the next question
Yeah.
that you might find interesting. And that is that in 2017, when I decided to go free, I literally added every single agent in my MLS to the coaching program. Whereas now every single agent in my direct market, it has my entire blueprint. Right. And I was and still am, as far as volume since 2014, the top agent in my county out of all companies and all agents. And here, the number one guys in the county literally giving his entire playbook to his direct competition in his market for free. Right.
Yeah, that's coming from a place of abundance, which it can be difficult at times when you're struggling, but I think is an important thing in this business. A lot of people, we talk about on this show, this doesn't have to be a competitive business. It has to be more collaborative, I find, and then we all get successful that way. So I appreciate you coming on this show and sharing your perspectives. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%.
I,
100%.
I would imagine that, putting all that content out there has created, incoming referrals as well, agent to agent referrals. Is that accurate? Not so
Yeah,
much?
a little bit. Yeah. Well, see, I'm in small town Alabama, right?
Okay.
So people aren't flocking to, you know, people aren't flocking to Alabama here, but I am on the beach. So we do have, I do sell mostly Gulf front vacation, properties. And so we do have buyers from all over the country, and even in Canada come down here and buy. So I have had some referrals, absolutely. But it's not like it's not like I could like build my entire career on those referrals,
Sure.
but yeah, no, it's been great to have that out there for agents. They know where I'm at, and they do reach out to me a lot for referrals. I don't know, it's, yeah, definitely get referrals, and it's nice.
So if anybody, just as we wrap this up, if anyone wants to reach out to you or get a hold of you for your materials or to send you a referral to Alabama, where in Alabama are you?
I'm in Gulf Shores / Orange Beach, Alabama.
So how should they reach out? How should they get a hold of you?
Instagram.
Instagram's the best way?
Yeah, I answer every single message on Instagram. ZeroToDiamond.com is the free coaching program. The link in the bio for Instagram pretty much goes everywhere, webinars, all my other social medias, scripts, 90-day action plan, anything and everything. But if you message me on Instagram, you will get hit back. So if you guys have any questions or just want to say hello, feel free to hit me there.
Awesome. Once again, Ricky, thank you so much for coming on the show and contributing to the real estate community as a whole. It's just better when we all get together and help elevate, each other.
Better together, brother. Appreciate you.
There you go.